Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing a Star Trek novel from the original Star Trek series, or I should say a novel based on the original Star Trek series, taking place at close to the end of their 5-year mission, and it's called A Contest of Principles by the New York Times bestselling author Greg Cox. Now this was sent to me by one of my subscribers, Steven, and I'm still not sure who this is, because I have a subscriber and a patron named Steven, but I don't think it was him, because while it's from similar to his neck of his woods, it's not exactly from his neck of the woods, and I think he would have actually mentioned to me, hey, I sent you this, so I'm still not sure who sent it. It was a big box. It's the biggest box I've ever been sent. It had a bunch of stuff in it. I mean, they spent like $40 just to ship it to me, much less all the stuff at it. It was that really, really big one. And this was part of what came in, and he mentioned in the note he sent that he would like me to review some Star Trek stuff more often. So I figured, well, I will go ahead and do a review on the book he sent me. I really enjoyed it. It actually kept me up much later than it should have last night because I just couldn't put it down. One of the things I really like about it is it almost feels like 3 miniature stories in one book, because it mainly focuses on the main 3, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. The other 4 kind of main characters of the original series are in it, but not as much. Scotty, Uhura, Chekhov, and Sulu. They do have little bits in it, but they're more like little bits, almost cameos. They're only in a little bit. It really focuses on the main 3. And each one has their own thing going on. They're pretty much separated for most of the story. Because the story takes place mainly on 3 different planets, with each of them on one planet for a large part of the story. Kirk is right in the middle of having to be diplomatic, be the diplomatic captain, which is really kind of funny when you think about it, because there's this planet having its first free elections in a really long time, and he has to make sure that goes smoothly, so he's there. Then you have McCoy, who has been abducted because someone needs his medical attention, and it needs to be done on the hush-hush, on the down low. So he's been abducted against his will, but of course once he's there, because he is a doctor, he's going to help, because that's just how McCoy is and how good doctors are. If they have someone if they see someone who needs help, they're going to help. So he's on this other planet doing that, and then you have Spock and Chapel on this other planet investigating what happened to McCoy, because he was actually kidnapped on this planet, and they don't know he's been moved to another planet. And so you have them at first trying to figure out what happened, and then they themselves get kidnapped by another group, and they're having to deal with that. And Chapel's in this a lot too, which I like. I like that Nurse Chapel really gets a lot to do in here. And one of the great things is that all of the cast feel like themselves. Kirk feels like Kirk. Spock feels like Spock. McCoy feels like McCoy. Chapel feels like Chapel. All of the characters feel like the characters. They're written well. I think Greg has a very good understanding of the original Star Trek series and of these characters and of the characteristics that make them who they are, and how their personalities work, and how their camaraderie with each other, how their friendships work. I really feel like the characters are the characters. These are the characters I know and love. He does a really good job with that. I really like the guest characters that are there for this story on the different planets, the inhabitants of the different planets, and also the other members of the Enterprise who normally aren't from the show, the ensigns and the security guards. All of them feel fleshed out with their own distinct personalities, especially a lot of the aliens, the commissioner on the planet, the 2 people who are running for office on the planet with Kirk, the Commissioner Dare from the Federation and her assistant Tanaka. They feel like real people, not just 2-dimensional characters in a book. They feel like real people. On the other planet, the guy who rules over that planet, and then his daughter, who is the one that they kidnapped McCoy to help, they have very distinct personalities. The guy who kidnapped McCoy has a very distinct personality, not as much because he's not in the story as much, but the girl who's bodyguarding McCoy has a very distinct personality. And this is the same way also on the planet where Spock and Chapel are. Characters there, like the leader of the Resistance, has a distinctive personality. Everyone feels fleshed out, and it does a good job of, just over the course of the book, getting you attached to these characters and kind of getting you to figure out their personalities, how they think, how they move. And I really enjoy that. I like how each person is having to deal with one thing, even though some of them relate. Like, of course, Spock and Chapel are hunting for McCoy, and we see everything they go through on their adventure, and they do eventually make it over to the same planet as McCoy. Seeing everything McCoy is going through, because he doesn't know who he can trust. And I love, they really get McCoy right. He's just as surly and grumpy as you expect, and I love that. Everybody feels like Kirk definitely feels like Kirk. Spock definitely feels like Spock. Chapel definitely feels like Chapel. Especially a Chapel that's kind of over Spock at this point, like romantically, which I like. And then McCoy definitely feels like McCoy. They're all written well. And watching Kirk actually do have to be the diplomatic person, not the, go in phasers blazing captain, but the diplomatic captain and solve things diplomatically. Because he has a mystery on his hands because someone tried to assassinate one of the electoral candidates. So he's having to figure out what's going on with that. And it's nice watching them unfold. I like his writing language. It's easy to read. It's easy to follow. I really enjoyed the story. It's been a while since I read a Star Trek novel, so it was nice to get back into that universe. I really enjoyed the writing. I can see why Greg is a best-selling author. I know he's written several novelizations of movies like War for the Planet of the Apes, Dark Knight Rises, etc., etc. So I very much enjoyed it. I mean, that's always my main thing is I want the characters from the show to feel like the characters from the show, and I want the characters that are just in the story to be fleshed out and three-dimensional and feel like real people. And it succeeds on both fronts, and it also succeeds in telling a very good story. And really kind of three stories in one that tie together, and I really liked that. So, Doctor Who, A Contest of Principles. Have you read it? I'd like to know what you think. And I want to give a thank you to Stephen for sending this, plus all of the other stuff he sent to me. I still don't know who that is right off the top of my head. Because people, of course, in the comments go by other names, so I still don't know to this day who that was. So, I'd like to know what you think. Comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to contribute to what I do. There is a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to two of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane and the Fifth Doctor. I appreciate their continued support and the support of all of my patrons. I appreciate all of you, just as I appreciate all of my subscribers as well. We crossed over 800 recently, and I'm very, very grateful to each and every one of you. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you would like to send me that you would like me to look at and review, that's down in the description, as is a link to my Amazon wish list as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.